Have you ever, like, really thought about all those fun little phrases we throw around in conversation? You know, like when something totally blows your mind and you blurt out, "Holy moly."
Or when you're diving into like the real nitty-gritty of a situation, it's fascinating, right?
It is. And it turns out there's actually a name for that kind of playful rhyming reduplication.
It sounds way more complicated than it is. It's basically when you take a word, change the first sound to make it rhyme, and boom, you've got yourself a fun little phrase.
So we're all low-key poets, even if we don't realize it.
Exactly. And there's actually a reason why our brains find these rhyming pairs so satisfying. Think about it, like when you hear hocus pocus, there's something inherently catchy and memorable about it.
That's so true. It's like our brains are hardwired for wordplay.
But I'm curious, is it all just fun and games, or is there more to it than that?
Oh, there's definitely more to it. These phrases aren't just random silliness, they actually serve a purpose. Like, hocus pocus is a great example. It's not just a random rhyme, it's connected to ideas of magic and trickery. Oh, so there's like a deeper meaning behind the rhyme. That's really interesting.
Absolutely. And it often adds a layer of playfulness or informality to what we're saying. Take nitty-gritty, for example. It's not just about the details. It's about getting down to the essential no-nonsense stuff.
So it's like we're using these rhymes to add nuance and flavor to our language. I love that.
It's like adding spices to a dish. And sometimes those spices can be a little, well, let's say pointed. Think about lovey-dovey. It's not always a compliment.
Oh,
No.
yeah, for sure. It's like, okay, we get it. You're a couple. No need to rub it in our faces.
Exactly. It's often used to comment on, overly affectionate behavior in public, sometimes with a touch of disapproval or humor. It really depends on the context.
Right, so even these silly rhyming phrases can be loaded with social meaning.
Exactly. They can reflect social norms, attitudes, and even generational differences. Like, I doubt your grandma would ever say, bored schmored.
No way. That's so true.
It's a way for younger generations to express, like, a certain kind of ironic detachment or dismissiveness. But even though it might sound negative, that underlying rhyme still adds a layer of playfulness to it.
I never would have thought about it that way. It's like these simple rhymes are actually little windows into how language evolves and reflects the culture around us.
Precisely. They're these tiny linguistic time capsules, each with its own story to tell. And that story can change depending on who's telling it, when, and why.
It makes you realize there's so much more to language than just the words themselves. There's a whole world of meaning and context hidden beneath the surface.
It's like an iceberg, right? We only see the tip, but there's this whole massive structure underneath that we don't always consider. And that's what makes exploring language so fascinating.
It's like uncovering a hidden code. So are we saying that these seemingly simple rhymes are actually complex linguistic tools?
Absolutely. And the coolest part is we're all using them, often without even realizing it. It's like we're all fluent in this secret language of playful sounds and hidden meanings.
That's amazing. It's like we're all part of this giant wordplay club, whether we know it or not.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe by paying closer attention to these little rhymes, we can learn even more about ourselves and how we connect with the world around us.
I love that idea. So next time you hear someone say holy moly or nitty gritty, remember there's a whole world of linguistic fun waiting to be explored.
You never know, maybe you'll even be inspired to coin your own rhyming reduplication. The possibilities are endless. It's like we're all speaking this secret language, right? And we don't even realize it. But why do we love rhyming reduplication so much? What is it about these phrases that just clicks with us?
It's like they're little earworms that get stuck in your head. But you're right, there's got to be something deeper going on, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about how these phrases make you feel like when you hear higgledy-piggledy or fuddy-duddy. They just bring a smile to your face, don't they?
They totally do. They're just fun to say.
Yeah.
But is it just about the sound?
Well, part of it is definitely the sound, that repetition, that rhythm. It creates the sense of playfulness and lightheartedness. But there's also a social element at play.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Like when you use a rhyming reduplication, you're kind of signaling that you're in the know, that you get it.
So it's like a secret handshake for word nerds.
Exactly. And it can also create a sense of camaraderie, like you're both in on the joke.
That makes sense. So rhyme and reduplication, it's not just about sounding cute, it's about connecting with other people.
Exactly. It's about creating a shared experience, whether that's through humor, playfulness, or even a little bit of gentle teasing.
So it's like we're using these rhymes to navigate the social world even when we don't realize it.
Absolutely. It's a way of expressing ourselves, connecting with others, and even subtly reinforcing social norms. And It's fascinating how these phrases can also reflect cultural attitudes and values. Like, think about namby-pamby.
Yeah, yeah. That's not exactly a compliment, is it?
Not really. It's often used to criticize someone for being overly sensitive or lacking strength, especially men.
Right. Like there's definitely a gendered aspect to that one.
Exactly. And it shows how even these seemingly silly rhymes can be connected to deeper cultural beliefs and biases. It's like language is never neutral. It's always reflecting the society that created it.
That's a really good point. So what are some of your favorite examples of rhyming reduplication? The ones that just really stand out to you?
Ooh, that's tough. There are so many good ones. Helter Skelter always makes me laugh.
That's a good one. It perfectly captures that sense of chaos and confusion.
Right. And Willy Nilly is another classic. It's just so expressive and fun to say.
And it perfectly describes those moments when you're just going with the flow, no plan, no direction, just pure willy-nilly.
Exactly. But you know what I find truly fascinating is how new examples of rhyming reduplication are constantly popping up.
Really. Like
Yeah.
what?
Well, think about all those internet slang terms that use reduplication like by Felicia or adulting. They're not exactly rhyming reduplication, but they use that same repetitive structure to create a sense of playfulness and shared understanding.
Oh, that's so true. It's like we're constantly finding new ways to play with language and create these little linguistic shortcuts.
Exactly. And that's what makes language so dynamic and ever evolving. We're constantly pushing the boundaries, creating new meanings, and finding new ways to connect with each other.
It's like this giant collaborative word game that we're all playing together. But where do you think this all goes from here? What's the future of rhyming reduplication?
Hmm. That's a great question. I mean, who knows what new phrases and expressions will emerge in the years to come. But one thing's for sure, as long as we continue to play with language, to experiment and have fun with it, rhyming reduplication will continue to thrive.
I love that. It's like a reminder to never take language too seriously.
Exactly. There's always room for a little bit of silliness, a little bit of wordplay, and a whole lot of fun. And who knows, maybe someday we'll be looking back at the rhyming reduplications of today and wondering, what were they thinking?
Huh. I can just imagine our future selves shaking their heads at our holy moly and nitty gritty. But hey, that's the beauty of language, right? It is always
True.
changing, always evolving, and always full of surprises.
It really is fascinating. It's like looking into a crystal ball, right? Trying to predict the future of language. What slang will stick? What will become like totally retro?
It makes you realize just how powerful language is, you know?
Yeah.
It's constantly reflecting and shaping the world around us. But it's not just about slang and trends, is it? There's also something to be said for the, like, enduring power of these rhyming reduplications.
Oh, absolutely. Like some of these phrases have been around for centuries and they're still going strong.
It's true, like hocus pocus or helter skelter. Those phrases have stood the test of time. But why do you think that is? Why do some phrases stick around while others fade away?
Well, I think it has to do with how well they capture a certain feeling or idea, like helter skelter.
Hmm.
It just perfectly sums up that sense of chaos and confusion, and it does it in such a fun, memorable way.
Right. And it's not just the meaning, it's the sound too, right?
Yep.
Like there's something inherently pleasing about the way those words roll off the tongue.
Oh, for sure. The rhythm, the rhyme, it all adds to the impact. And, I think another reason why some rhyming reduplications stick around is because they're just so darn useful.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Like when you're trying to describe something that's really, really small, what do you say?
Tiny,
Yeah.
minuscule.
Sure, those work. But itsy bitsy, it just has that extra oomph, doesn't it?
It does. It's like it shrinks the words down along with the meaning.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of rhyming reduplication. It can add this whole other layer of meaning and emphasis to what we're saying.
It's like a linguistic superpower. But, all this talk about rhyming reduplication, it's made me realize how much we take language for granted. We use it every day, but we rarely stop to think about how it works, how it shapes our thoughts and perceptions.
It's like the air we breathe, right? We don't really notice it until it's gone. But language is so much more than just a tool for communication. It's a reflection of who we are, where we come from, and what we value.
And it's constantly evolving. New words are being created, old words are taking on new meanings. It's like this living, breathing organism that's constantly changing and adapting.
That's what makes it so exciting. There's always something new to discover. And that's what we've been doing today, haven't we? Exploring the weird and wonderful world of rhyming reduplication, uncovering the hidden meanings and social significance behind these seemingly simple phrases.
It's been a real eye-opener. And, it's made me realize how much fun it is to play with language, to experiment with words, to try out different sounds and rhythms, and to just enjoy the sheer creativity of it all.
Exactly. Language is a gift, and it's up to us to make the most of it. So go out there, explore, play, and who knows? Maybe you'll even coin the next holy moly or nitty-gritty of our time.
Challenge accepted. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the wonderful world of rhyming reduplication. Until next time, keep your ears open, your minds curious, and most importantly, never stop playing with language.